What's up, y'all? I just got out of Kung Fu Panda 4. I was gonna start the video being like, skadoosh, what's up, y'all? Kung Fu, but I can't be that YouTuber. I can't be that guy. I'm sorry. Maybe that makes me boring, but that's who I am. I'm just gonna say what I feel about this movie. I'm just gonna start with the pros. Start on a positive note, because I do have a lot more cons than I usually do when I do these reviews. Pros. Second half of this movie is actually not bad. You know, first half of this movie sucks. Second half of the movie, they picked it up. Not bad. You know, story gets better, more interesting. Ending's not terrible. You know, second half is overall enjoyable. Not as good as Kung Fu Panda 1 or Kung Fu Panda 2, but not horrible. What else? Animation, there's some cool animation here and there. Nothing mind-blowing, but still some cool animation that hasn't ever been done in a Kung Fu Panda movie before. So that was unique to see. There's this chase sequence when they get to the city and they're running from the law, and this like Chinese style instrumental version of a Crazy Train by Ozzy Osbourne like plays over it. That was pretty cool. I thought that was like, oh, that's unique. And if you know Crazy Train, I don't know, if you don't know Crazy Train, you're probably very, very young and just happened to stumble upon my video. Welcome to the channel. Yeah, I was like, oh, that's unique, and people who know that song will be like, oh, that's cool. There's also like a bit of a pun, like nobody says anything, but it's like a visual pun, and if you know the saying, and when it happens, you'll be like, ah, that's clever. But it might go over your head if you're not like fully like awake or aware, or if you're really young and you've never heard the saying before. I won't spoil it, but when it happened, I was like, oh, that's cool. I was like, it kind of made me chuckle a little bit. I was like, oh, that's cool. What else? Tai Lung was back for a little bit. That was cool. You know, he's a villain of the first one. The first one's my favorite. I know a lot of people really love the second one. Second one's their favorite, but I love both the first two. The first one's my favorite, so it was cool to see Tai Lung back. Let's just go into the cons. Like I said, first half of the movie sucks. I'm sorry, there's no great way of saying it other than it was just pure garbage. And why was it pure garbage? You know, the script overall feels very phoned in, very, let's just make a Kung Fu Panda 4 and make a quick buck. Especially the first half, where it just felt like a straight, very amateur fan fiction of the series. Like, this felt like they let some 10-year-old who loved the Kung Fu Panda movies, but really just loved them for the funny kind of, oh, funny panda, funny fart joke, I don't know. Just write a new Kung Fu Panda movie, which is sad because it's the same writers as the first three, so you'd figured they know the characters better than any of us, but they decided to go down this route of just being like, screw it, let's make a fourth one, make some money, and not really putting any soul or kind of character behind it like they did the first two. So that was unfortunate. I mean, there's a line right before the chase sequence I was talking about in the pros, where Po literally says, "You may also know me as the Kung Fu Panda." And I almost slapped my forehead. I was like, what the heck am I watching right now? This is just straight fan fiction. That sucked. But like I said, the second half is better. Kind of redeems it, but the second half still isn't great because it wasn't set up for success, you know? You can't just have half of a good movie if you want a good movie. You need a full good movie. So because the first half of this movie utterly fails to set up a good second half, the second half kind of falls short. It picks it up, it redeems the first half, or it redeems the movie overall. It doesn't redeem the first half as a half. It redeems the movie overall, but it still falls shorter than it could have if the first half had been successful in setting it up. Speaking of phoned in, Jack Black's kind of performance is nothing new. It feels like he kind of phoned it in too, and I can't blame him. I mean, when you hand him a script like what they handed him and were like, hey, we'll pay you this money, he'll be like, okay, I guess I'll do it. But like when you compare his performance to the first two, it's so obvious he was having fun and he was invested in the first two. When you go and watch something like this, you're like, oh man, he's just doing his Jack Black, he's just doing his Poe voice and just, you know, getting his paycheck and moving on with his life. So that was unfortunate. I think the concept of of Poe having to step down as a dragon warrior and become like the Oogway, the spiritual leader, is cool. It could have been better though. I don't know. It could have been better. It didn't feel significant. It didn't feel like, a lot of this movie didn't feel significant or heavy, which is funny to say heavy and significant when we're talking about the Kung Fu Panda movies, but in comparison, like, the first two were actually really good movies, fan favorite movies, because despite being really silly, they're fun. Okay, another con, here we go. Not that funny. Other than the pun I was talking about during the chase sequence, there's maybe some kind of funny lines, but nothing. The first two had funny scenes in it. This one didn't have any. Like, even there's a big group of kids behind me. They laughed maybe twice. Maybe twice in the entire movie they chuckled. Little kids below the age of 6 and 7 maybe chuckled twice. Like, I don't know. Failure. Absolute failure in that regard. I don't know. I'm disappointed. I kind of went into this with low expectations, hoping it would prove me wrong. It didn't prove me wrong. The second half was better than I was expecting. That did prove me. The second half was better than I was expecting, so the second half did prove me wrong. The movie as a whole did not prove me wrong. So when I go to rewatch Kung Fu Panda movies, I'm just gonna stick to watching the first two. Hopefully you guys find more enjoyment. Oh yeah, the Furious 5 wasn't even in this movie. If you like the Furious 5 as characters, don't bother watching this movie. They're not in it. I don't know. I hope you guys find more enjoyment in this movie than I did, because I never want movies to fail. But I don't know. This one kind of let me down a little bit. But yeah, it is what it is. I'll see you guys on the next one.